Ladies and gentlemen, all bonds will become worthless eventually if we continue on this trajectory that we're on. Listen, I want to give you the truth, and I think this should empower you, not scare you. But honestly, I've been studying market cycles for a very long time. I've devoted countless hours to understanding how these debt-driven systems evolve over time. And I don't say this lightly. I've chosen my words carefully, but the biggest risks in the system are almost never where most people are looking. And right now, based on all the dynamics playing out, the risks in government bonds are very overlooked and widely misunderstood. And the truth is, at the core of this entire system, one thing holding it up is trust. And without it, the system does not function and it breaks down. And what we're seeing today is essentially a gradual erosion of that trust. It's breaking in governments, central banks, policymakers, fiat currencies, increasingly in the US dollar, and the debt itself. The entire debt system is losing trust, and people are feeling the pinch. Now, this does not mean that it's going to collapse overnight. But what it means is the stage is being set for an eventual systemic reset. Now, this is not about bonds collapsing immediately either, okay? But this is really about them failing in real terms. That's what we're seeing today. And failing to do their job, which is preserve wealth in a system that depends on ongoing debasement, credit expansion, and debt creation. So, my warning to you is if you remain heavily invested and exposed to treasury bonds and government debt through what's coming in the years ahead, just understand the risks, that you are taking far more risk than most people even realize. And the bubble is hidden in plain sight. Hold these investments long enough under this trajectory that we're on, and you're likely to watch your purchasing power steadily deteriorate along with your wealth. And it won't happen suddenly. These are quiet things that take place over time, but it's already happening and it's only going to get worse in the years to come. And this is not something to ignore. And I'm not trying to create fear. I'm trying to empower you so that you can position accordingly in advance. And most people don't take much time to fully understand bonds and the treasury market. They're not exciting, they're often misunderstood, and it makes sense because they're also boring. They're not very interesting, and they just pretty much sit in the background inside a lot of people's retirement accounts. So they're kind of behind the scenes. But the reality is US treasury bonds sit at the very foundation of the entire global financial system. This is very critical to understand because everything is built around the assumption that the US government is the safest government in the world and that US debt is safe, liquid, and there will always be buyers and demand on the other side. That is the official assumption, and it's held for a long time. But the assumption is now being tested, and we're seeing that in the data, okay? This is not conspiracy. This is actually in the data, and institutions don't want you to know this. As of 2026, government debt is approaching almost $40 trillion, and it's going to continue to rise, roughly 120 to 125% of GDP. Now, every year, the government runs large deficits, meaning they're spending more than they're collecting. And that gap has to be financed at some point. And it's not just new borrowing. Existing debt is constantly maturing and has to be rolled over and refinanced. So in simple terms, new debt is issued to pay off old debt, while additional debt is layered on top to fund more ongoing deficits. So it's essentially a death spiral. It's a vicious feedback loop that only gets worse over time. And this only works when there are consistent buyers and real demand on the other end. And historically, that demand has always been there, and it's come from central banks, foreign governments, pension funds, other financial institutions, and of course, domestic investors. And the Federal Reserve, the central bank in the United States, has always played a major role, particularly during times of crises, especially during times of crises, stepping in with large-scale asset purchases in order to stabilize the markets and the financial system. So, the reality today is that the scale of issuance of debt is growing faster than natural demand on the other side, and from governments and central banks. These guys, they already know how this is going to end, okay? They just don't want people to understand. And this is exactly why this time what we're seeing is these new mechanisms begin to emerge to help support the demand. It's artificial demand, and it's being very overlooked. But these developments, for example, in the growth of stable coins, are all artificial band-aids to create artificial demand as a temporary band-aid. As stablecoin adoption increases, you basically have issuers that are required to hold more safe reserves. And that, in most cases, in practice, safe reserves are heavily allocated towards short-term US Treasury, US government debt. And this is clearly, explicitly outlined in the stablecoin bill that was passed called the Genius Act. Now, to understand this, you have to understand that what it effectively does and what it creates is artificial structural demand, which means it's temporary. A captive buyer base that basically continues to absorb treasury issuance as the system issues more debt and expands. So it's a mechanism to keep the system going temporarily. Now, while it can support the market in the short term, it's important to understand what this little mechanism here actually represents. And I made this in another video breaking it down. But it's not a solution to the underlying structural problems in the financial system. It's basically a temporary extension so that they could keep inflating away the debt, okay, and keep the system functioning for as long as they can before the new system is introduced. So this mechanism here creates demand, but it's not going to reduce the scale of debt being issued in a system that relies on continuous borrowing. And that's the problem. So the question becomes, what happens if demand begins to weaken further, which it already is? But what happens when that escalates even further and faster? And it will. Well, treasury markets operate on supply and demand. Now, when demand is strong, you have yields remain low, okay? And borrowing costs stay manageable, okay? Now, when the demand weakens for treasuries and US debt, yields rise and they spike. And the cost of servicing that debt increases even more. And this does not just affect government borrowing, okay? It affects regular people. It impacts everything. Mortgage rates, corporate borrowing costs, and even equity valuations. And overall, it affects the entire financial system and financial conditions that are all tied to treasury yields. So essentially, as demand falls and yields rise, the entire system begins to tighten. Now, housing slows, corporate investments decline, and financial markets eventually price that in and they come under very serious pressure. And you see a global credit contraction and markets fall. Now, layer all of that on top of the broader trajectory of monetary policy and what we're seeing today. The path we are on today points towards continued currency debasement because structurally, the system requires it to keep the debt-based system functioning and alive and artificially breathing on life support. and this keeps the markets alive as well. But that means more debt expansion and more credit creation. Now, debt levels are too high to be sustained without ongoing liquidity support. And we talked about this with our guest Michael Howell when he came on the channel. That means more money creation over time, not less. The debt-based monetary system has deeper implications than most people realize just because of that simple mechanism that I just explained. At its core, the entire financial system is designed in a way that makes instability over time and crashes almost unavoidable. So we will get one again. We will, and you have to be ready for it. And this is exactly where the risk really starts to become clear to anybody paying attention. In an environment where persistent currency debasement, long duration debt instruments like bonds may preserve nominal value on the surface, but they steadily lose real value over time. And that's the key thing to understand here, because in simple terms, you might get your money back, but what that money can actually buy continues to decline, and that's your purchasing power being eroded and deteriorating over time, and that's only going to get worse in the years to come. It's a silent form of wealth erosion and theft from the system, and it's happening in real time, and it's only going to continue based on where we are in the grand scheme of things. At the same time, there's a very strong growing divergence that should not be ignored, and you have to understand this as well. While institutions and the public are still encouraged to buy treasury bonds and hold sovereign debt, central banks themselves have been moving in the opposite direction for a very long time. They've been accumulating real assets, specifically gold, for a very long time now, just hitting new records every year. They've been net buyers of physical gold since 2009 and net sellers of treasuries since 2014. And that contrast alone tells you everything you need to know, and it tells you more than the headlines ever will, because they don't want you to understand this dynamic and what's happening. Now, we're starting to see early signs of strain in the system, but the system is not collapsing yet. It's under increasing pressure, more than it has been in decades, and that's visible in the data as well. And systems like this don't collapse all at once when they're under strain. They weaken gradually, and the breakdown in the system becomes more visible over time, and something eventually forces a repricing and a complete reset, along with a crisis tied to it, so they have some narrative to cover up the real structural issues. The repricing comes in, and it rarely looks like a traditional default. More often, it shows up through currency debasement, inflating the debt away, where the debt is effectively inflated to oblivion while the taxpayer feels the pain the most, because your purchasing power is destroyed along the way. So the key point here is that defaults, when they do happen, don't always mean a failure to pay. It can also mean being repaid in a currency that has lost meaningful portion of its purchasing power. And that's why I argue we are already defaulting on our debt. Okay? We're inflating away. So we're not defaulting in the traditional sense, but technically it's like a default. So when I say bonds will become worthless because of this in the years to come, I'm not suggesting that they're going to disappear overnight. I doubt it's going to happen like that. But what I am saying is they will fail to do the one thing that investors have relied on them to do for a long time, and that is preserve wealth over time. They will not do that going forward in the future. And as this currency debasement continues and your currency is continued to be devalued, and that compounds, bonds, treasury debt will eventually become worthless in the future. And that's why we're in the early stages of a structural shift of smart money actually shifting to real assets, tangible assets, assets that will carry their value into the next system and away from paper assets. Now, before I continue, if you're looking to gain any exposure to real assets like gold, silver, or even digital assets, whether that's buying, selling, trading, or even rolling over a 401k, I've pointed many people towards my partners at iTrustCapital. I personally use their platform as well. It's very straightforward, very simple, user-friendly, easy to use. They have excellent customer service. And just so you know, many people don't know this, but when it comes to their precious metals that they sell, gold and silver, you can always request them for delivery if you choose to, because they are all fully allocated precious metals. And it also gives you access to a large range of digital assets on their platform if you're interested in gaining exposure into select digital assets. So I did include the link in the description below if you want to explore it further. I encourage you to do that, do your research, make sure it's right for you. Now moving on, none of this happens in isolation, everything we just talked about. The geopolitical tensions, the energy shocks, the global instability, all of these things are just acting as catalysts. They're already contributing to a problem that was already in motion. They are not the root cause, so understand that. The underlying issues in the system we're seeing today are structural. They come from the monetary system itself, built over decades of compounding debt, reckless monetary policy decisions from central banks, bad fiscal policy decisions from governments. And the truth is, the headlines will always try to divert your attention away from the truth and the real problems and have you focus on surface level events. They always do that, and they will always continue to do that. And the deeper story unfolding beneath all of that is basically we have big problems in the core structure of the financial system, and it's starting to get priced in and will continue in the years to come. So looking ahead, the risk is the steady erosion of purchasing power and bonds, okay? Rising prices, stagnant wages, and increasing pressure on households are all symptoms of a broken monetary system that is continuing to function on life support. And at some point, the system will be forced to adjust. And that's when you'll have a new currency, new monetary system introduced globally. And at the same time, before we get to that point, we will see intervention from the Fed, liquidity injections to keep this financial architecture and system going for as long as they can before the new system is introduced. The exact path in the short term is uncertain, but based on everything happening in the world, the direction and destination is very clear at this point. And that's why positioning today matters. And this is not about panic or extreme predictions that I'm trying to make here. It's really about understanding where we are in the cycle, in the monetary era, understanding the trajectory that we're on, and making strategical decisions based on probabilities and where we're heading. Holding a large concentration in long duration debt and bonds in a debasement-driven system is very high risk, in my opinion, regardless what they tell you. And it's a big misunderstanding of what the risks really are in the system. So please stay aware, stay disciplined, be strategic and methodical about how you allocate your portfolio in today's environment based on where we are today and where we're going. Because by the time these shifts become obvious to everyone, the opportunity to act will be gone. Take care, you guys. I'll see you in the next one.